Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All right, people. Listen, I had a 4-hour sleep, so my brain is like functioning like 40% as well. Was not good. Kind of lost 3-0 last night against the national champions here in America for the over 30 league. It's rough. It's tough. And I went home at 2 a.m. and it's 8 a.m. now. So I took a 4-hour sleep just to wake up to fucking talk about football after being slapped 3-0 yesterday. It's not good, you know. But how's everyone doing? Guys in the chat, help me. Listen, hit that like button if you're here. Subscribe to the channel video. We're going to be joined by Jerry James, who's actually Liverpool in about 10 minutes. And Jerry's coming in. That's why we're a little bit late. Of course, Liverpool fans are probably hiding currently. They're fearing Chelsea, the mighty Chelsea, up the Chelsea. Of course, they face each other tomorrow on Saturday in the later game of the day, 5:30 UK. Chelsea versus Liverpool in a must game for both teams, with Enzo Maresca kind of relieving the pressure a little bit after the win against Jose Mourinho's Benfica, which is it wasn't actually a football game other than an exhibition of Jose Mourinho coming back to Chelsea, and everything was about Jose Mourinho, wasn't about the players of the game. You were in the stadium, 100% it was about Mourinho. Dan, right?
Yeah. Well,
you know when I was watching, you know what made me think it's about Mourinho? How is the camera on Mourinho more than the game? Like, how is it every 5 minutes you're putting the camera on Mourinho?
That's just Jose, though, isn't it? He's box office. I think wherever he goes, that's. I mean, obviously, a return to Stamford Bridge probably heightened it, but I feel like any game Jose's a part of, he does. I don't know if he does it on purpose, but the game does become about him, especially on the sideline with his sort of antics or how he'll build up to the game. I actually think the Premier League is better off having Jose Mourinho in it than out of it. I actually think he adds to like the spectacle of it. It's a shame he doesn't have a team here. I thought West Ham might have gone for him, but they left it a little bit too late, didn't they?
Yeah. I thought Inter would go for him, but then we actually thought that we would bring him back. You know, it's astonishing actually, because we claim that Jose Mourinho had more history with us than actually Chelsea as Inter fans. Because you remember, he won us a treble, he won 2 league titles, and he won at the Champions League after like 40 years. And it's actually astonishing. You know what I mean? It's actually
that's how he makes the fan base feel. I think in a lot of clubs, like everyone grew very attached to him, didn't they? I think he does do that.
Have you noticed one thing then also? There is no player that speaks bad about him after he left in any club, Real Madrid, Inter,
maybe Dele Alli, I don't know.
Apart from that club, apart from Spurs, to be honest with you, apart from Spurs, which is Spurs are different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he went to Real Madrid, he benched a lot of players, and they still love him. It's at Inter. I think Materazzi was saying, I was happy to sit on the bench for Jose. And I'm like, bro, who's happy to sit on the bench in a club? I was like, I felt like in a much bigger thing than myself playing for Jose Mourinho. And I'm like, how good of a man manager you are to actually have people happy sitting on the bench for you. I'm like, it's astonishing, to be honest. He's amazing. He's one of the best, in my opinion. Hit that like button, people. Subscribe to the channel, of course. We're going to have a good discussion, so guys, support the channel. Come on now. People are saying he's a Chelsea icon now. He's a Chelsea icon. He's the first one to win them. Yeah, 100%.
Maybe more than an icon, if you can get that. Like, I think his DNA and his blood, like, it will run through the club forever, I think, because I think he educated a fan base on what it is to win and how to win games of football. Like, I think he basically, people talk about managers having disciples. I genuinely believe there's a section of the Chelsea fan base that have their football based on Jose Mourinho's first few seasons at Chelsea. And any manager that comes in since is sort of compared to Jose.
Yeah, he's just a great manager. I think the football it's actually astonishing. So I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it looks like football is going back to his way of playing football a little bit.
Good or bad?
I think that's not bad at all. I think that is good, because which is, I'm quoting the Guardian yesterday. I'm quoting Wilson. What is his name? I can't remember his first name. And he's saying that it's a Mourinho with a hint of Pep Guardiola football, which is possession based. Everyone passing around. So I like Jose. I don't think he's capable of coaching a top club now. I don't think so, to be honest with you. But listen, people, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we'll start right away with the Chelsea-Liverpool game. Actually, no, we'll start with Arsenal, and then we'll go to Chelsea-Liverpool, and Jerry's here. So you're a little bit hesitant. You're a little bit skeptical about Mikel Arteta and the team, right? So how are you feeling now?
Yeah, a bit better, man, to be honest with you. I feel like, again, football is kind of a weird thing, how things can change in literally a week. This time last week, potentially we could have gone 8 points behind if we would have lost to Newcastle, and Liverpool would have beaten Crystal Palace. But the fact that Liverpool obviously lost to Crystal Palace, that massive win we got against Newcastle, and not only just obviously the win, just the way we were playing, especially in that first half, I was very skeptical about obviously how Arsenal have been playing this season, just because I feel like, again, before obviously that game, it was really dependent on like set pieces and stuff like that, and corners and things. But I feel like in the Newcastle game in particular, as well as the Olympiacos game, we actually seen some kind of free football in the first half from open play, creating a few chances as well, a bit more fluent. And I think putting in the likes of Eze in there, obviously Odegaard played in the Olympiacos game as well, having a few more creative plays in that kind of midfield area definitely opens up the game a little bit more. And again, this kind of taking the handbrake off Mikel Arteta has been accused of. I think we have actually seen him do that more times in the last couple of games than we have at the start of the season.
Are you lagging? Is he lagging for me a little bit?
I think,
right, it's lagging a little bit for me.
Yeah,
right?
I think. Yeah, I keep coming off. You keep coming on and off as well for me.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe your internet or something. But listen, I want so by the time you fix that, Dan, do you think Arsenal are favorites now for the Premier League? Because, and the reason why I need to put context here. Now, Arsenal win the game against Newcastle, where everyone said that it's very hard for them to win in St. James's Park. We see Jamie O'Hara, we see John Obi Mikel are so hesitant of giving them praise. We see a lot of pundits are saying that it's impossible to put Arsenal as favorites because they haven't won it. And I'm like, but, and in the Champions League as well, because they say, but they haven't won it for a long time. But even City haven't won the Champions League. And when they won it in 2023, they were favorites every year before that. Every year City went to the Champions League and they were favorites without even winning it ever. For the Premier League, I remember that Liverpool were favorites to win the Premier League after actually winning the Champions League the year before. And I'm like, why are people so hesitant about giving Arsenal the praise that they deserve? And is it because of Liverpool? Is it because of Man City? Is it because of Mikel Arteta? Because you can watch Arsenal. They're the most consistent team currently in the league. Like, It's not about being top or not top. It's about the consistent way of playing the control. Why do you think that people are hesitant? And what do you think first is Arsenal favorites? And why do you think people are actually hesitant? Muted yourself. Muted yourself.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I think just because of the start of the season from Liverpool, I think that's probably led to Arsenal sort of being slightly held in slightly higher regard. I think really Liverpool have looked inconsistent. They haven't quite looked like the team that they were last season, probably to do with issues we might get onto. But I think Arsenal have built a squad over the summer that allows them to, one, win the games that they probably slipped up in last summer, to be able to continue in what they've been building under Arteta, and three, I think they've refound a level of hunger that I thought they lost towards the end of last season, and I wasn't sure whether or not they'd get that back. And I think they've started this season with it. I think they showed that in the game the other day against Newcastle. They looked really good. They found a way to break down a team that, maybe last season that might have been a draw against, or they might have not won, might have lost. But I think they look like a really good side, and I really like their squad. I think the way the squad's been built out with a player in pretty much any role to win any type of game, I think they've built a really, really good squad that I think is definitely good enough to win the league. And the only real, it's hard to say it's a criticism because it hasn't happened yet, but the only real thought I would have around them not winning the league might be to do with Arteta and what he may or might not do that could lead to them not winning it. I think the squad and the players are probably good enough.
Yeah, German Chicken Wing is saying City were favorites every year because of Pep and the trophies he has won. Yeah, but they haven't won the Champions League as Man City. Yeah, Arteta haven't won the trophies, and they haven't won. He hasn't won the major trophies. I understand that.
He's got to go for the League Cup, hasn't he? I think if he can go and win the League Cup, I think he absolutely installs. I'm such a big advocate for that. I think we saw Liverpool try to do it last season. I know they didn't end up winning it, but I think it either builds enough hunger by not winning it that you're like, right, we go and win the league now, or if you do win it, it secures the thought that you are the best team early on in the season. You can go and push on and win it. And I think you have to get to the final if you're intent on winning the Premier League. I think it really does help. I look how many times Pep won the League Cup and then went on to win the Premier League, or Mourinho did it a few years ago. It's incredibly important. I think Newcastle did it as well. They went on to win the League Cup and then they pushed on to make sure they got back to Champions League football, right? I think it's such an important trophy. And I think if Arteta can get that one, it silences this trophy talk with this squad that he's built, because it was obviously with the FA Cup team that he didn't really assemble.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I think, and especially what you said, Dan, about obviously our squad. You're looking at our squad now, we've probably got one of the best second teams probably in the kind of competition. So even going back to the Port Vale game, we're playing people like Ben White and Lewis Skelly, who would normally be our first choice fullbacks. But now they're our second choice fullbacks, and that's in a League Cup game. So I agree with you, man. I think if you can get to the League Cup final, win that, it obviously breeds confidence, especially because we're a team that, as a collective, we've not won a trophy together. So getting that first one will breed confidence, breed that kind of hunger and desire to win more trophies, and you can kick on from there, man. So I think it's important, very important, to win the League Cup. And with the kind of running where we possibly could get, if you get obviously beat a Brighton that we've got at the Emirates next round, which again, Brighton are a good team, but you'd hope we could beat them with obviously the home advantage. And depending who we get next, you'd think at least get to the final and then see what you can do in the final. But yeah, man, I think it's very crucial for Arsenal to win a trophy as quickly as possible and then try and get one of these majors as well to go with it. Because again, it's very difficult to win trophies in football. We know that. And even though this Arsenal team's good, they're yet to obviously do it together. So I think that will be a key step in the right direction and evolution of the team if we can finally get over the line and win a trophy.
The West Ham game on the weekend with Nuno Espirito Santo, will the conversation change if Arsenal don't win this game?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I said before, bro.
Now we're changing the conversation every week.
Yeah, bro. This is unfortunately this is modern day football, man. With social media, people are the favorites and they're going to run away with it. This time last week, I was hearing Liverpool they've already won it. They're 8 points clear. This is obviously before a ball was kicked last weekend. Now it's Liverpool in crisis because they've lost 2 games. I'm sure it's going to flip back again. Arsenal will drop more points, obviously, in the league, and Liverpool will obviously win some more games. So it's going to be back and forth, man. And this is what normally happens when there's an actual title race when it's actually tight, when no one's 100% sure who's definitely going to win it, when there's two teams battling each other. I think you do get some kind of...
I just want to stress on the two teams.
Yeah.
Probably.
Liverpool and Arsenal. Yeah, that's it as well, man. So yeah, I think definitely, man. I think potentially if Arsenal don't beat West Ham, and these are the games we need to show improvement in. Like Dan said, we this time last year we would have lost to Newcastle. We've not beaten them in the last 2 years. We've gone there and got 3 points. West Ham we've lost 2 years in a row against as well. Fulham we've not beaten them at Craven Cottage for the last 2 years. These are our next couple of games. So
I wouldn't change my conversation. A result against West Ham or not,
yeah.
I think that is my opinion, and I've been very vocal about this. Arteta has built a team that actually thrives on a system, and a very consistent system in the way they play. So even if the result don't go their way against West Ham, I wouldn't change my opinion. And I wouldn't change my opinion on Liverpool even if they don't win against Chelsea. I wouldn't. Because the amount of clutch players at Liverpool will always keep them there. So that is... Arsenal, to be honest, are improving game by game. I have seen City drop earlier in the season and still come back to actually fix the system and actually go on a run. I've seen Arsenal do it 2 years ago when they were good in the first half, good in the first quarter, not great, and then they came back from the Dubai trip and you won like 16 out of 18.
Yeah,
that is what people... You need to look at Arsenal, not game by game, or Liverpool. Liverpool, the problem if they lose, we'll talk about the system and all this stuff, but we know that the players will come back clutch for Liverpool. Are they going to win it or not going to win it? Maybe. I don't know. But nobody's going to be out of the title race now, currently. Even though I said that Liverpool will walk the league, I didn't think that the players will take time to actually be embedded. And I never thought about an angle that was presented yesterday when it comes to Liverpool about no system and Salah and relying on Salah. But on Arsenal, to be honest, I think if they smash West Ham, I think that is going to give them massive confidence, especially with Nuno. 2+ goal margins, and I genuinely believe that Arsenal will absolutely be... That will breed confidence, especially in Champions League, by the way. 2 games in Champions League, Arsenal haven't conceded a goal. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it was David Raya or not David Raya. Arsenal haven't conceded a goal. Yet in the Champions League.
That's to do with their squad, though, isn't it? They've built, because they've been able... I know they were very good in the Champions League last season as well, but they've been able to build a squad that can be rotated. Have, like you were saying, like you've got players who were so key to a title race before in Ben White and players like that are now, they've obviously had injuries, they've limited their game time, but they've also got the option to rotate them in and out. But Arteta knows what these players are about. And you were saying a little bit earlier that some of these guys under Mourinho were happy to be subs. I almost get that impression a little bit with Arteta, that some of these players are willing to do anything for this manager. I don't necessarily understand why, because I don't think the buy-in is really there yet, but I think he's created it, and I think he's got a real squad that is...
I asked this yesterday, Dan, and no one answered me. How is a player happy to be at Arsenal? And I don't want to go into the discussion without winning trophies under a manager that doesn't have a big winning record, underneath his belt. Like, he's not someone who's won the champs or the Premier League. Like, even Mourinho at Chelsea was a Champions League winner, a Europa League winner. And then at Inter, he was a Premier League winner with Chelsea, with all that. And then he went to Real Madrid and he was a treble winner with Inter. So he's always had trophies under his belt. Mikel Arteta has built this around him, and I applaud him for it. That is genius. It's genius to make people buy into your methods, and also to actually mute all the outside noise that keeps criticizing him, and actually have the players embedded and actually buying into him as a personality, while everyone around you, pundits, media, YouTube, social media, are ripping into you every day about not winning trophies. It's astonishing. It just shows that how good of a man manager he is, regardless of what people say about, he's arrogant. He's arrogant maybe with you or with the media, but with his players, apparently everyone loves him. Everyone loves the guy.
Do you think he's created an environment that is sort of the world against us? Do you think he's played on that a little bit with his players, and that's why they've bought into...
I don't know what he says to them, Dan, but apparently it works.
It does, because I think Jose used to do that. I think some of the best managers we've seen will say that the world is attacking us. The world, look at this article. Look how they've written about that. But we played a good game. You guys did everything I asked you to do. You didn't do anything wrong, and they still don't think you're good enough. They're against us. They don't want us to win. And then these guys get together and want to prove that message wrong. I just think he's done a really good job at that because, like you said, they haven't won anything. So he's obviously created an atmosphere that people, when they join that club, they buy into it straight away because I think some of the new players have got on board straight away as well.
Yeah, so I agree. I think, again, when obviously he took over, there was definitely certain level of toxic kind of environment around Arsenal in terms of the players that we had and obviously what was going on within the club. So he's definitely turned that around for sure in terms of having more of a positive effect. But I think obviously the key thing is that he has to get over the line. Like, I'm happy that we're signing or re-signing these kind of players to new contracts and stuff like that. But again, I do feel like they think and they believe in him in terms of he's able to win those kind of big trophies while obviously they're going to be at the club. But again, he's going to have to do it at some stage. So that's what I'm kind of looking at in obviously the near future of him actually getting over the line and achieving those kind of
embrace yourself
wins,
because apparently even if he's not winning this season, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, apparently so. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
Let me do this. Thank you, Evan, so much for the super chat. Appreciate the support, guys. Appreciate all the people, the donations for the channel. Honest question: do you feel Eucharist is enough for 20 plus goals to lead Arsenal over the line? I feel that's what they have been lacking. So let's just, in the first part of the question, does anybody think that Eucharist is a 20 plus goal watching him?
Yeah, I think so. I think where he's going to do really well for Arsenal is against the teams that they've struggled against, like last season, the season before, against West Ham, against the teams that are a little bit down. Look, he might be a flat track bully, but I think Arsenal probably lacked that at times last season, and it actually probably cost them a lot of points and in seasons gone by as well. So I think if he scores against those teams but struggles in the big games, it's not an issue for Arsenal because Arsenal have found a way to win those big games or get points that they need that are well earned, from set pieces or from other players stepping up. I think Saka is a big game player, and I think he will step up in those moments, as will players like Eze. But I think for the other games where they've struggled, Gyökeres is a bit of a battering ram to get him through those low blocks and get him through those difficult encounters.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think obviously he's got a lot of criticism so far, but I think people obviously need to remember that the 6 games we had Newcastle, we've had Liverpool, we've had Manchester.
Has he rightfully been criticized?
I don't think so personally. I think potentially.
So you don't watch him and you don't think he looks clunky. He's not great on the ball, and people saw he's better than this.
Yeah, no, there's been games where he definitely has, but that was again at the start of the season when he came in, didn't really have too much of a preseason, played one game at the Emirates, really. Obviously had all the stuff with Sporting Lisbon behind the scenes, obviously affected what he did in the summer. I think now you're seeing the last couple of games in terms of like his link-up play, hold-up play, he's looking a bit more sharper. Now we're just waiting for the goal. So again, it was always going to be a thing where I think personally, because of the Havertz injury, he's actually probably played more than maybe Arteta would have liked to have played him. I think he definitely would have, when Havertz comes back, he's definitely going to rotate the two between, like Dan said, Havertz maybe in the bigger games, Gyökeres in the smaller games. We've got a load of games in the Champions League. There's definitely going to be some rotation there for sure. But I think Gyökeres, again, we need to get used to playing with him still. Again, only the last couple of games, we've been playing balls in behind, which is what he likes. We're normally a possession-based team. So, again, it's going to take a little bit of adaptation period for him and also the team as well. So, again, only 6 games in. He's got 3 goals and 6 in the Premier League. So, I think he's only going to improve, in my opinion. And I think the goals will come and his performances in terms of his overall game will improve as well, man. So, yeah, I think he will get 20 goals per.
Like German Winger is saying, of course, 3 goals in 9 games. Is that good enough, Jerry? Is that good enough? Ekitike started 6 and 5.
Is that good enough? Got 3, 4,
6 in 5 games. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Jerry, the question is, are people right to be skeptical?
Yeah, because the argument was for a lot of people, if that's their argument, that Arsenal needed a striker. So the reason why they didn't win the league is because they didn't have a striker that scored 20 plus goals. So if he doesn't score 20 plus goals and Arsenal don't win the league, people are going to go and point to that. But I agree with obviously the guy's points. I think he's going to be a battering ram, as mentioned, against the lower teams. I think against the big teams, he struggles to get involved in the game. You saw it against Newcastle, you saw it against Arsenal. He might have one chance, and he's not someone that's Haaland clinical, where he gets one chance, one run through on goal, and he scores. He needs multiple chances. If you look at his goals for Sporting, constantly chance after chance after chance, and it's about volume. So against the lower teams, if they can go and, you know, turn the games around, but even if he scores 15 goals, right, doesn't score 20, but he scores in the games that Arsenal would have dropped points in last season, then yeah, obviously that's a good signing and it would help them. Obviously, if they end up missing their target or not winning a major trophy and he doesn't score the goals, then obviously, rightfully so, he's gonna get the criticism, because he was Europe's most potent goal scorer last year in terms of the amount of goals he scored.
Yeah.
So that's the standard he's at, isn't he? So that's what's going to be expected. If he gets 12 goals, as an example, that is going to be a bit of a failure, considering he doesn't really offer much else in terms of build-up play. I mean, that's not why he's in the team. If that was the case, you'd play Jesus, you play Havertz. He's in there to score the goals, and that's why he's in there. So as long as he's in positions to score, I think Arsenal create chances. You just got to put them away.
By the way,
Evan,
if you play, just to add on that, if Arsenal play 60 games and he plays 60 games and he's a 1 in 3 striker, it's 20 goal season.
Yeah, because when I was saying 3 and 6, I was more about the Premier League. So yeah, that's a good point as well, man. That's a good point.
Yeah, Devin here is saying strange enough, and I'm not the biggest fan, but the striker balance will actually be good when Havertz comes back. Different options for different games, states. Eucharist will be fine. I genuinely believe that Arsenal need Havertz now. They need Havertz, Devin. Like, now people will appreciate Havertz more. And I believe that when Havertz comes back, he will have fire in his belly because of the Eucharist being the main striker. And I think we'll see a better Havertz. Like now we see better Odegaard, he was sensational in the Champions League in the last game, to be honest. So all the talks about bench him, play Eze just disappeared after one game. And it's astonishing, actually, how one game can change people's opinions about a player. Listen, Odegaard talent is undeniable. No one here can sit and say that Odegaard is not talented. Right? Last season, he didn't play well. Season before, he was okay. Season before that, he was good. That midfield, does anybody still think that midfield is the right midfield? Odegaard, Zubamendi, Rice for Arsenal?
I think the midfield's going to change depending on the opposition, to be honest with you. I think certain games it might be a bit more solid like that, with Rice in there to obviously protect, to help with Zubamendi off the ball. But then I think other games, man, I want to see Eze, Odegaard, and a Rice or Zubamendi in some of the games we've got at home against some of the lesser opposition, where we've got going to have more possession of the ball, because I feel like when you've got two kind of creative players in two different areas, that's obviously going to create more space for other people and create more chances for Arsenal in general. So I think it's not going to be a set midfield. I think those kind of days, especially with the squad we've got, we're going to have to rotate. We've got a load of games. There's going to be players that obviously want to play as well. So I think it's not just going to be a set midfield. I think we will kind of rotate between players each and every time, depending on who we play, if we play them away, Champions League, etc., bro. So, but yeah, for me, I want to see definitely one of the games for sure, Eze, Odegaard, and Zubamendi or Rice in like the 6, to see how we kind of play with that, man. To see if we were a bit more creative with that kind of midfield trio.
How do you see that midfield, Jerry? The Arsenal midfield.
I think obviously in theory, when you look at the names, you think, yeah, it's great. We can, play Odegaard and Eze and Rice. But I think if Arteta views Rice as this box-to-box and doesn't seem as a deep player, you're either going to have to play Zubamendi or Rice. And I think you bought Zubamendi because you believe is important for your build-up. And I think you bought Rice because you want him there for your power, which means that you're either playing Eze or Odegaard. And I think that might be the rotation there. But I don't see, unless there's injuries, I don't see a game where Arteta goes, yeah, you know what, let's drop Rice or let's drop Zubamendi and we're only going to play Odegaard and Eze as an example. I just don't see that. I think what you're more likely to see is Eze playing off the left and coming in field to go and link up, as opposed to playing in midfield. I think, again, you've got loads of options, but very similar to Liverpool, it's about the balance. And I think Arteta is very key on that. And I don't see him going, yeah, Rice, you're going to be that starting 6, and yeah, just have 2 number 10s essentially playing. In the midfield forward areas, I just don't see that at all.
I think he might change based on the game. I agree with Topes. I think he might change based on the games, to be honest with you. I think it might be. Was never a fan of Eucharist, so not surprised how he's playing. I do find it funny how parts of our fans who claim he's amazing are now praising him for link-up play, which is he's not better than Kai at all.
I agree.
Yeah, that is people just actually started criticizing Havertz about like you're praising him for things that Kai Havertz was good at. Does anybody think that that is a true statement that people now are trying to praise him? Okay, Siri just spoke on my phone. Does anybody think that they're praising him for things that Kai Havertz used to do? Link up
I think
play,
it's more of a-
fighting, strengths.
No, I think
Very
it's
good
more
point.
kind of an analyzing his overall performance. Because again, when he was when he was scoring goals, when he did score goals for Arsenal, obviously at the start of the season, people were saying, "Well, look how clunky he looks on the ball. Look how heavy his touch is." And now, when obviously he's improving his kind of touch and his link up play is getting better, he's not scoring goals. So I think it's one of those things where he's just gonna have to do.
So you're thinking the goalposts keep moving for Arsenal?
Yeah,
That's
man,
what you
he's
think?
just going to get criticized. If he just keeps scoring those goals, people are going to say, "Look how clunky he looks." If he doesn't score any, but he looks bit better on the ball.
You see
people
that
gonna score it.
mentality of people that saying they no, if he scores goals, nobody will care how he plays. Because nobody cares how Haaland plays as long as he's scoring goals and Man City are winning.
Well,
Nobody's
yeah.
gonna
I
care.
think the key point is City winning though, because
Yeah,
he was
that's it.
scoring goals last season. Do you know what I mean? He
That's it.
scored
And people
goals.
saying he was League 2 player and stuff like this. And this is Haaland. Like, this is what I'm saying. So I think with some people, you just can't win in it. You're always going to get criticized regardless of how they play or whatnot based off the player. So it is what it is, man. You just got to try and play your best. If I was him, man, I'd just do your best.
Guys, can we get the likes up, guys? To like hit that like button underneath your live chat. Close the live chat and hit that like button. Jerry, just a last question for you before we move on. What are your thoughts on Arsenal now? Have they changed from the beginning of the season at all?
I think they're where I thought they would be. I think they'll be challenging right at the top. I think they'll be Liverpool's closest challengers. They're not conceding goals, which I think everyone would openly say they've got the best defense in the league, if not in Europe, in terms of how they're able to keep teams out. And yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
You're still thinking that Arteta is even after the Newcastle game, which is something that I don't think they would have won that last season, and they didn't, or the season before. Do you think they have the mentality to actually try to win the games, to want to win the league? The whole point is
they win.
the league,
They win more games than they don't. So they've had the mentality to win games. We'll have to see until the end of the season, really. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but you don't know. Again, Arsenal are not a team that have done it before, and I've always said this. So until they do it, it's all
there's no evidence of them doing it.
There isn't, because they'll do this now. They'll do this, which is fine. But let's say the next game coming up, they drop points. All of a sudden now, the narrative surrounding Arsenal is completely different.
Yeah,
I was telling the guys this. I was telling them, are we doing a game by game now? It's not even like
it is.
It's not even. Are we doing a game by game analysis for football teams?
It is.
But that's what it seems like, because ironically, Arsenal did win the game against Newcastle, but it was with a set piece that people criticize Arsenal for. It wasn't through open play. It's not like they didn't score a game where they opened the Newcastle up and scored. It was a set piece, which again, I'm not critiquing that personally, but if they had not won the game, the argument would be they relied on the set piece to go and win the game, but they scored via a set piece. So obviously,
but you're watching them now, and their game is improving. Their game is improving by the game.
100%. I'd expect it to. I'd expect it to. They've brought players in. You expect the team to improve. Now, whether they can get over the line and have their mentality, that's a different argument completely. But is anyone questioning where Arsenal are in the league right now? Is it not really? There are people that said that Arsenal will not be 2 points off the top now. There are people that said that they won't get more than like 8 points. There are people that said 8 points.
Yeah, last week, when we could have lost to Newcastle. And then
there are people that said that Arsenal will be on 8 points.
People are looking at it from at a game-by-game basis. Forget the points. If you just looked at it and thought who would be Liverpool's closest challengers, or who are the two favourites to go for the league, it'd either be Arsenal or Liverpool. So I don't think anyone would be surprised at the fact that Arsenal are where they are. If anything, if Arsenal dropped off and were fourth, that's a different argument. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But even if Arsenal had won all the games so far,
the performances, I think the performances have surprised me, to be honest. Because even against City now, when everyone criticized Arsenal, I actually thought that Arsenal dominated the game, created chances. Donnarumma had come up with a couple of saves.
I said this on your stream. They have done always. Like as in as of recent, when they've played the top team.
No, even Rodri questioned their mentality about winning games. I know that the Moreno thing and him choosing Moreno over Eze But the approach of the game was Arsenal from minute one wanting to win the game. And instead of, by the way, I'm sorry, all the narratives that ran after this game from all the pundits that Arsenal went in for a draw is false. It's absolutely false. It's not true. That didn't happen. He wanted to win the game from minute one. It was obvious when he has two fullbacks pushing. He had Calafiori high on the pitch. He had Moreno pressing with Gyökeres. That was the approach. Personnel-wise, he can choose the personnel that he thinks is right for the game, which is we can criticize him for personal choices. Like, for example, you can criticize him for choosing Trossard over Martinelli or Lewis Kelly over Calafiori. It's up to you, or Ben White over Timber. It's okay. But the approach, watching the game, you know that Arsenal went to that game trying to press from minute one, never held back, and they were always there around the 18. By the way, there is another thing, Jerry. Me and Hossam go back and forth about this, right? Against Liverpool, at Anfield, Arsenal were the more attacking team in the first half. You would think that it was the other way around, that Liverpool should be the more attacking team. But Arsenal had more touches in the 18, more chances, more ball position in your half. But then yet people come after the game and said that Arsenal were happy with the point. Well, how do people say that if they were attacking from minute one? That is what I don't understand about people trying to analyze the game based on what the pre-assumption of the game, instead of watching the game and analyzing what happened in the game. Yes, we assumed that Arsenal would be defensive against Liverpool, but they weren't. Not in the first half. They had more possession, more chances, more touches in the 18. They pressed more, they pressed higher. That is my point about analyzing football. Oh yeah, Arsenal were defensive against Liverpool. No, they weren't. Definitely weren't.
I think some fans are taking that whole defensive thing to heart. I personally don't think Arsenal were defensive. I think my argument was that Arsenal could have taken the game to Liverpool a bit more. I don't think Arsenal go into games looking to just... I don't remember Arsenal sitting in against Liverpool and just being in a low block from minute 1 to minute 90. They've always gone to attack. At the games I went to at the Emirates, at the games I went to at Anfield, a couple of seasons back, they've always gone to go and attack. They've always tried to go and dominate the ball and get on the ball. The difference is that just at the City game, Liverpool were there for the taking because we were crap, if we're being honest. And Arsenal just didn't seem to want to do that. They were just content in keeping the ball and controlling the game, but not taking it to the teams. I think that's where the criticism from. But
they did take it for Liverpool at Anfield, which is nobody in the world would do that. No one will ever do this.
Yeah, they would, but I don't think they did. I don't think that's Arsenal taking it to them. I think controlling the ball isn't taking it to Liverpool. It just isn't. Like if you go back to City's games against Liverpool, or you go and look at even PSG, they're taking it to Liverpool. Arsenal, I've seen even in a couple seasons back, they took it to Liverpool. Regardless of whether they won or not, there was a belief of we're taking it to you. Arsenal controlled the game, no doubt. But Arsenal fans themselves would sit there and be like, you know what? It's not even about the personnel. Why are you not playing that pass? Why Gyökeres has made the run? Why are you not passing it to him? Why are we going back? Why are we passing sideways? Why are we keeping the ball? And yes, there's times to go and do that. But to say that Arsenal are taking the games to these always, I don't think they are with the amount of talent that they've got. Because there's no doubt that they've got amazing players. But do you know what I mean? To play Marino in that game, it's like, yeah, that's fine. But you're already setting up your shot to do you know what I mean? And kind of letting everyone know what your mindset is, which is we want to control and dominate the midfield. All right, but going forward, what you're going to offer. Now, of course, if they go out and the person will do the job, it's fantastic. But when they don't, I think people are going to criticize. And I think it's right to, isn't it? Because we're looking at the personnel.
I disagree with you. I think in the first half, Arsenal showed way more intent than Liverpool to win the game. More shots, more everything. Like the stats back my idea.
Arsenal were better. That's not about intent.
But you had 2 shots. They had 6.
Yes,
you had no
better.
touches. They had like some kind of 15 touches in the 18.
Arsenal were way better. Because Arsenal were way better. It wasn't about.
But isn't that the definition of them taking it to you?
No, I disagree. I think going and controlling how, because
they had more final third entries, more touches in your 18. But that is taking it to you.
Exactly. And in the second
half. Now, the second half is different.
No, but it's not which looking at the whole game. You're looking at one half of football. Football's not played over 45 minutes. And hence why Liverpool...
Because I think you forced them to actually drop it because you improved massively in the second half. Honestly.
Yeah, but I think Arsenal could have improved even 10 times more because I don't think that's Arsenal at their best. And that's me giving them props. I don't think that first half from Arsenal was their Arsenal at their best. I think that's Liverpool being bad. I think Arsenal at their best can go and kill teams. If I'm being honest, this me being from a neutral. And if you think that's Arsenal at your best, that leads more to the question of I would like to know why you think Arsenal are getting better, because I don't think they were at the best at that game.
Oh, they weren't at the best. They lost the game at the end.
That's my point.
They were at the best.
That's my point. I don't think even in that 45 minutes they were at their best. I think they can play much better than that. And I think Arsenal fans will attest to that.
Yeah, and they might play better than, like Liverpool might play better than this throughout the season. Of course, I believe that Arsenal will get better. I believe that Liverpool will get better. But in the if my team goes to Anfield and have a game like this, I would say the intent was there to win. I would say that, to be honest. I would say this. Let me do this. Couple of super chats. Claude is saying 4-2-3-1. Izzy, Odegaard, Saka behind Gyökeres, especially with Calafiori as left back. That's what people are saying. A lot of people are saying that they don't think that Mikel Arteta will be able to do this. That will be able to play Eze and Odegaard together with one DM. I think we'll see. I genuinely think there is 10 teams in the league. Home and away, Arsenal should do this, in my opinion. That's what I think. To Eze and Odegaard, try that. And then see how it goes. Like, for example, against West Ham tomorrow at home, I'll play Eze and Odegaard together. I'll bench one of Rice and Zubamendi. West Ham under Nuno Espirito Santo will be defensive. You don't need that many DMs on the pitch. I'm sure he's not going to do this. I know from now he's not going to do this. Like, that's not happening. As Jerry said, it's like he doesn't see. I don't see it happening. To be honest with you, Jamal. Fans conflate us controlling games well, being good defensively for being defensive. I watch my team in 90 plus games. We're playing in the opposition's half. That's fact. Arsenal actually are the team that actually have the most position in the opposition's half. Most touches in the opposition's half, by the way. That's facts. Actually. Them being good defensively has nothing to do with them being a defensive team. By the way, the problem is a lot of football fans conflate and being good defensively with being a defensive coach. Let me give you an example before moving on to Liverpool versus Chelsea. Antonio Conte averages 60% ball position, but people say he's defensive because he knows how to set up his team defensively. Jose Mourinho, in the majority of the games, were like this. He coached Real Madrid to get more than 100 points and 100 goals. That cannot be defensive. Like, by definition, that's not a defensive team. A defensive team, a team that win a lot of 1-0s, 2-1s. Like, Arsenal win games with 2+ goal margins a lot. That is my opinion, to be honest with you. But anyway, moving on to Liverpool versus Chelsea, guys. I said yesterday on the terrace, I see no world where Liverpool lose the game. I don't think it's a 0% chance, but I don't think that Chelsea will win the game. A lot of Liverpool fans actually still think that the game will be a draw, actually. I'm going to ask the question that I asked yesterday. Guys, hit that like button. Who needs the win more from Liverpool and Chelsea?
Chelsea, I think. Personally, I think Chelsea, the fact they've lost their last 2 Premier League games, and the fact that they really need to win this game in terms of them trying to get back into kind of contention of challenging for the Champions League. You don't want to get too far behind. And just for a confidence standpoint as well, man, you don't want to go into an international break where, as well as obviously losing the Bayern Munich game, you've lost 2 Premier League games, potentially 3 Premier League games in a row. I think that obviously sets like a bad trend in terms of going through long runs without obviously getting wins together. I know they had a period last year where they had like a long run again, when they didn't really win too many games. So you don't really want to kind of have a carbon copy of that, man. So yeah, I think it's very crucial for Chelsea to get 3 points, man. It's going to be obviously difficult. Liverpool are a top team, and Chelsea have got some key injuries into obviously key players that they could really need in this game, and especially defensively. Obviously, Cole Palmer's a massive miss as well. So I think potentially, man, it's a big game, man. It is a big game, and I think Maresca, obviously, again, he's been a little bit under pressure in terms of, not under pressure, but people have been criticizing these kind of game management when going down to 10 men the last couple of games as well. So I think maybe third and foremost, just try and keep 11 men on the pitch. I know obviously from an Arsenal perspective last year, it's so difficult to win games when you keep going down to 10 men every game. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be the key thing for them to do. But yeah, they do have some really good players. They've got a really good midfield as well. I heard a report saying that Lavia might be back as well, which is obviously a big plus too. So I think there's definitely a game where they could definitely get 3 points from. I'm definitely not going to rule them out. But again, it's going to be a difficult one for both teams, in my opinion. But I'm looking forward to the game. I think there'll be some goals, and hopefully we'll get some kind of positive result for Chelsea. Because again, I'm hoping Liverpool drop some points, man. But yeah, we'll see, man. But yeah, I think it's more of a must win for Chelsea, in my opinion, just for the fact that the terrible run they've been on. Even though obviously Liverpool have lost their last Premier League game, I think they obviously there's enough quality in their team. And again, enough games for them to kind of catch up Arsenal if Arsenal do end up going top of the league. So yeah, I think for Chelsea, it's more of a must-win personally.
Do you agree, Dan? Before I go
I'm
to...
not sure. Only because I feel like...
Allah, I think this panel is... Sorry, Dan. This panel is the best. This National League thing is so unique that I know when I'm asking the question that Dan will remove his Chelsea hat answering this question. Will actually talk from a perspective that is not as just a Chelsea fan. And I know that Jerry will talk from the perspective of, I'm not only a Liverpool fan, about analyzing the game. I'm sorry, Dan, I had to interject here because I kind of know how you're going to analyze this. I don't know your answer yet, but it's so refreshing to hear opinions without just being tribal, just being, I'm just focused on my team only and not looking at the oppositions. I'm sorry, I had to say this. It's just refreshing.
I think at this stage of the season, though, the win is incredibly important for both teams. I'm not saying it's not important for Chelsea. It's huge. If Maresca loses 3 games on the bounce in the Prem this stage of the season, I think that's huge. It's a massive amount of pressure. But I don't think anyone thinks Chelsea are going to win the league now. So I think you can get top 4 with 3 losses at this stage of the season. For me, if Liverpool were to be, 2 losses 7 games into the season, you start thinking they've only got one more chance to slip because, I think they won it last year on 3 losses, or the season before was 3 losses. I think you get about 3 to 5 as your limit to win a Premier League title. Any more than that, you pretty much are gonna fail to pick up points anywhere else to replicate that against other teams' form. So I honestly think that for both teams, a loss is a little bit of a disaster, but I feel like Chelsea could recover their season in terms of what their aim is, in terms of getting top 4 football with a loss to Liverpool in this game. I'm not saying I want that, but I think if Liverpool, if they're 5-2 going into an international break, it's not a great place to be, is it? Looking at the rest of the season, that you've only got one more slip up, maybe 2.
Jerry? Before I say my opinion on this,
I've got to kind of agree. I think for Liverpool, it's because performances have been really, really bad, like from back in the last season. To be fair, pre-season, started the season, albeit we've been getting results. I think Liverpool need the win to kind of re-establish the kind of, okay, well, that was just a blip. You can happen. You can drop points against Palace. But yeah, straight back to business, and you win the league and win the game, and ideally with a good performance. Now, I think the game's massive for Liverpool. I don't see Chelsea as title contenders at this moment in time. So to Dan's point, obviously, if they drop points again, I think you still get top 4. You can even get 3rd potentially, and still.
Like Chelsea had 9 losses last season and got top 4. I'm just looking at it now. Liverpool had 2 losses when they were crowned champions.
Exactly. So for Liverpool now, it's you can't win those. You can't win those games. And again, if that Newcastle result is the big one, or as people like to go and talk about, and they go and do the business at West Ham, which I think they will, they'll go top, and Liverpool can't afford to drop points and allow Arsenal to move away, because then, do you know what I mean? It's anyone's game, and Liverpool are in a position where they've got to now chase, which is obviously a bit different. And considering Liverpool aren't playing well, you don't really want to be in that position. I think it's big for Liverpool. I think it is a must win. Definitely.
Can I tell you, for clubs, I agree. Liverpool need the win more. 2 losses at this stage, especially after 2 losses for against Galatasaray, Crystal Palace, will start raising questions. Right. However, manager-wise, I think Maresca, if he loses this game, especially at Stamford Bridge, it will turn, especially if he doesn't have a good performance. People start questioning all his methods and all his use of players. For the manager, in terms of manager, for the club, I agree with Dan. It's very obvious. Chelsea can lose this game and still finish fourth, uncomfortably as well, right? But the manager is under pressure. People are starting to question Maresca's methods about, is he the right man for the job? This is what this game is about. For Liverpool, the 3 points is needed more than Chelsea. Chelsea don't need the 3 points. It doesn't. It's not. It might not affect the season at all. At the end of the season, by the way, might not affect the season. But I think that Maresca is under pressure. The pundits are not leaving him alone. The pundits now are reminding him with the Leicester season again, like what happened in the mid-season last season. Do I think he can outcoach Arne Slot? I don't know. He did it with Luis Enrique.
He arguably did it last season in a way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first game last season away at Anfield for Chelsea, Arne Slot was like in real high praise of Maresca. And then I think the second game, I don't know where Liverpool's heads were at in that game. They probably were probably sort of in a fairly relaxed state, but it ended up being a 3-win to Chelsea, didn't it? So I don't know if he can get the better of Maresca when it really matters. I don't think we really saw a test at the end of last season because of, like I say, it was already wrapped up, wasn't it, Jerry?
Yeah.
So, but by the way, I definitely think Arne Slot is a better manager than Maresca. If that's a discussion that people are having in the comments or anything
About what?
I think Arne Slot is quite clearly a better manager than Maresca as well. So I think like if they're
because he won the league, yes.
No, but even
because he won the league,
he
won the league even with an underdog in the Netherlands. So clearly he is.
Yeah. But then Maresca's obviously. I think the Dutch league and the Championship are pretty comparable in terms of that winning that. They both had similar trophies going into last season, didn't they? But I think Arne Slot showed he's probably a level above Maresca. So head in the game, I would expect Arne Slot to have a little bit more creativity to try and win the game. I think Maresca will be very stubborn in his approach, as he's shown, and I don't really think he'll do too much.
And a cheeky question, Dan. You are someone who has a season ticket, or you go to every game for Chelsea.
Most, not every, but most.
Like most games. Why nobody talks about home advantage for Chelsea, but they talk about home advantage at the Emirates, Etihad? I never been to Stamford Bridge. Why?
Because it's impossible to get tickets.
No. The home advantage. Back in the days.
Do you know
back
what?
In the days when because I remember 2010 when we went to Stamford Bridge and we won 1-0. Inter fans at that time, when I was speaking to my friends and I was in group chats on Facebook at that time, and people said like, "We're going to Stamford Bridge. This is hell." Nowadays, people don't take the home advantage for Chelsea seriously. Is that because the fans are skeptical about the team and where the team is at? Like I don't want to go into a big discussion, but you go to the stadium, you know more than me. Why Anfield is a fortress? It's hard to win at Anfield, but Stamford Bridge is like, it's okay. Why?
Well, I think one is probably who's in charge of the team and the atmosphere around the club at the moment. That even when Brighton went 1-1, I know we were obviously down to 10 men at that point, but even when we went to 10 men, I think everyone sort of felt that it would be difficult. But as soon as Maresca made his substitutions, I think the atmosphere evidently changed. I think everyone sort of felt, well, that's that game gone. Everyone's sort of groaning. I just don't feel that the belief around the match-going fans at Chelsea is there anymore with what this team can achieve. I don't think there's that sort of fight and desire in the team to want to get back from those results. I don't know the numbers, I don't know the statistics, but it doesn't feel the same. I think there were games where, I didn't ever feel like we would lose a game for at least a decade, and we lost very few, but we've never really got that home sort of record back, to be honest. It wasn't until I think under Maresca last season that we started putting some home results together, but under Poch, I think it was abysmal.
Yeah, I think potentially as well, the fact that Chelsea have probably lacked those kind of big wins against those big teams at Stamford Bridge. I know obviously they beat Liverpool last year, but I don't think they've beaten Arsenal in the league at Stamford Bridge since like 2018. Manchester City normally do the double over them quite often as well. So I think that kind of plays into a part of that kind of stigma of this is kind of a home advantage. People don't really win here, or Chelsea normally get the job done against these kind of big teams at Stamford Bridge. I think when you start to get that back and start beating these teams more on a regular basis at the Bridge, then I think that will probably come that kind of.
So we were actually third on the home table last season. So we did put some wins together, but I think there's a couple of games there that, like you say, were probably bigger games that we probably got a draw in or didn't do too well in, and that sort of sets the tone. But I think it's just been a few years of it not being great, probably has set the atmosphere to what it is. And I feel like when it goes wrong, everyone sort of doesn't expect Chelsea to get back from, like, say in the first half, if it goes wrong, I don't know how many Chelsea fans feel like it will improve in the second half, even though it has done. I don't know whether or not they believed it would happen.
Liverpool fans need the win more. Good for banter. Actually, I think, to be honest with you, I think if Liverpool don't win, it makes the Premier League more spicy. I think so, to be honest. That's what I think, to be honest. But going to Liverpool, the Liverpool problems are apparent. We had a big discussion yesterday on the Football Terrace about Liverpool and Salah, and Arne Slot had to change the system, and because he doesn't rely on Salah and Frimpong playing behind him or Conor Bradley. What are the fixes? What are the fixes? How can he fix it?
I don't know. The reason why I say that is, if I was to ask anyone, and I said it to you on your channel the other day, if I was to say to anyone, what are the 3 characteristics of slot ball, quote unquote, or slot style of football, what would it be?
Anyone in the panel can answer this? Anyone in the chat can answer this?
Tactically, he makes the right changes. We've got good. But if I was to say, if you were to just put bibs or blanket masks on all the players and have to say, what team's playing, would you be able to tell that's a slot team? I wouldn't. So now when you ask me,
I don't know if that's a bad thing, Jay, because I think that ultimately is probably one of the reasons you won the league last season, because there's an element of unpredictability in that Liverpool
definitely
side.
However, what that the unpredictability kind of leads to is your reliance on individual quality, on players to be able to do something. So looking at Salah, you go and look at Ancelotti at Madrid when they won what they did with him. A lot of the times you didn't know how to set up because they might sit back and catch you on the counter, and they might decide to go and play with possession. You just knew Modric can turn up on any given day. Bellingham's going to turn up. Vinicius might turn up. They might fling on the striker in the last seconds to go. I think it was Hosselu that might come on and score a goal. It was all over the place, right? Which is fine and it works. But when you need some structure, when you need to go back to basics, I don't know what Liverpool are trying to do. I don't know whether they're trying to play possession football. I don't know whether they're trying to be direct. We have 2 wingers that are in Gakpo and Salah that want to be very, very direct at every opportunity. But then you've got our centre-backs that are keeping the ball and popping it into midfield and giving it back and trying to do this slow build-up to control games a bit more. It seems all over the place to me. So when you ask me what's to improve, I don't know. Now, again, if Slot decides to fix, I thought it might be a personnel thing, but then you saw against Galatasaray, he made loads of changes and ultimately it was the same thing. I think right now he's struggling to get all the best players on the pitch. I think he doesn't know how to use some of the certain players and to get the best out of them. And you've got 3 players and you got 3 players worth 100+ million and a Salah on the right wing, and you don't know who to play through, then you ultimately end up playing through no one, and it starts to look a bit disjointed. So look, in moments, Liverpool can still kill you, and that's what Liverpool have relied on this season. Look, we've lost 2 games in a row, but we won 7 games out of 8 in the Premier League, isn't it? So again, Liverpool have the ability to win games, but in terms of performances, I don't know how it improves.
Because of the amount of clutch players.
Yeah, so I don't know how it improves. Well, the only thing I can see happening is, Salah comes back into form. So now his touch doesn't bounce off his shin. He controls it and slaps it into the top corner. Or Isak comes in and all of a sudden... However, he scores.
He doesn't have the same time as last season. Because Trent used to play him first time. he used to play him in that 30-yard space where he gets that
100%,
space.
100%.
Now, because Frimpong is more of a carry, Gravenberch is more of a carry,
100%. This
Wirtz
is why
is
I
more
go
of a
back
carry.
to
Wirtz
this
is
why
more
I
of a
go
carry.
back to
So by the time Salah gets the ball, there's fucking 2 defenders around. There's
That's
only
why-
5-10 yards to work with.
That's why I go back to it. And my point is, are the characteristics of slot ball? Because again, you're now relying on Trent's ability to
Uncomfortable
find
conversations. And when I say it, Jerry, people don't like it. When I said that last season, having a player like Mohamed Salah, who your go-to guy in every ball, and he's the one. And by the way, people don't like when I say this. Arne Slot is a good coach, great coach, and he used to Salah to his best ability last season, and Trent and McAllister. But the plan was Salah has to create for us. Now we cannot, but to be honest with you, the stats again, back what I used to see. We cannot have a team that won the league and there is a player in that team that is top of the chart in everything in the league, including even chances created. It's not only goals and assists, in chances created. And then we say, yeah, the system was amazing. Yeah. So that means this year, you're not giving that player the platform to work because you don't have Trent to play those quick passes. You completely change the characteristics of your midfield because now Wirtz has to get more touches on the ball than Szoboszlai last season or McAllister. So now,
and then on top of that,
and then now we're looking at this
than he did at Leverkusen. So now, you know, the 80, 90 touches.
It's even worse. And then when I say that the system now looks, as Jerry said, and I said that Arne Slot is not able to use Salah, and because Salah is, with all due respect, really, I'm Egyptian, the fucking touch is off his shin 4 yards ahead of him the majority of the times now. And we know why, because there's no space around him and he's a year older. It's just ages catch up to you. There's 1 year that you go down. I'm not saying it's this year, but that is happening with Liverpool. It is on Arne Slot now to utilize the rest of the team. Because when Liverpool fans, and it's not only you, Jerry, it's basically me and Hussam, because I do shows every day with him. McAllister is one of the best in the league. McAllister was good, but the best in the league is someone that would be leading the stats in chances, in dictating the game. Yeah, he was part of a midfield that won the league, but he wasn't Cole Palmer as a 10, for example, or even Enzo Fernandez, who was second in chances created in the league behind Mohamed Salah. In big chances created. He might not look as good as McAllister because Chelsea were not winning games as much as Liverpool, but the stats show that McAllister was a part of a midfield that relied so much on Mohamed Salah to make those things happen offensively. Because at the end, you can be as good as defensive, as good in the midfield, but you won't win game if your offense is not working, which is why Arsenal drew 14 games. You look good in carrying the ball and running it around and passing it, but you're not creating the chances to win the games, which is why Arsenal were 8th in chances created last season in the league, right? So that's why I'm saying, if it wasn't for Mohamed Salah last season, Liverpool might not have won the league at all.
Yeah, maybe so. And I think Slot seemingly, when you look at the personnel he's purchased, he's moved away from that solid base that he had before, which made Liverpool a bit more conservative in comparison to Klopp's team the season before that. And now Liverpool, and again, Carragher, you got to kind of big him up for it, because first game of the season, you called Slot out after the Bournemouth game. He won 4-2, and you said to him, you don't look as solid. And Slot, you know, went a bit defensive and tried to laugh it off. But we're here, sitting here on the 3rd of October, and what Carragher said is true.
You had one good performance. One convincing Atletico Madrid. One convincing performance. Atletico Madrid. One convincing
90 minutes. It wasn't 90 minutes, but it wasn't 90 minutes.
But it was. Didn't that game go 3-2?
It went 3-2. It wasn't.
Yeah, but the Atletico Madrid two deflections of sides. Two deflections of sides.
To your point, if that's Liverpool's best performance at a game where we, for me, that was their best performance from Virgil van Dijk after a last-minute equaliser from Llorente in the 80 whatever minute, then that is a worry. If that's Liverpool's best, because in comparison last season, when Liverpool won games, it was very much like Liverpool go 1 or 2 up, and we're seeing at the game. Liverpool don't concede.
Yeah, you don't see the games out. You have a problem.
Right now, Liverpool play well for 20, 30 minutes, and you go and see, really, really good. And then you're like, hold on, one long ball and you get caught on a counter-attack. Or a team just runs through and scores. And it's as simple as that. So right now, Liverpool are struggling to control games. The thing that we actually, like, you know, people criticize Arsenal for, Liverpool can't do that for Jack. They can't sit down and just keep the ball and keep it and keep it.
Is that, Jerry, is that because you've signed so many players that are looking to go forward and looking to be creative that they're taking risks rather than retaining possession?
Yeah. And I think when you go and play, I think when people used to always criticize, you know, Diaz when we had Diaz in terms of, and Jones as well, and certain midfielders say they hold on to the ball too much. They're taking too many touches. That's kind of what you need if you want to go and keep possession. If you go and realize and kind of understand what Jack Grealish was doing, he looks obviously a better player at Everton currently. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the chances he's creating. But in terms of the system, he'd give the ball away too much for a Pep team because they want to keep the ball. Now, when you've got Gakpo that's very, very direct and his best attribute is cutting inside and shooting, like first time, just being really direct. And Salah wants to do the same thing where he cuts inside and creates something. And you've got two fullbacks that want to go and get in behind. And then you've got your DM, Gravenberch. If you look at the goal he scored against, who did we play?
The one where he literally played one pass and then he just sprinted straight through.
Sprinted and got forward and then got it on the volley, right? That's your DM, that's your 6 inside the box scoring the goal. So it works. When it works, you get goals like that. But if Liverpool lose the ball at that moment in time, the only people that you've got back are Virgil van Dijk and Konate, and a team ready to go and counter that. Because you've got Wirtz who wants to get touches on the ball and wants to affect the game. But he wants to obviously be the creator, and that's why he's in the team to be the risky player. You've also got Salah that wants to be risky with how he plays. You've got Gakpo who wants to be risky. And you've got your forwards that are also risky because none of them are Bobby Firmino.
It's literally that Semenyo goal, first game of the season, isn't it? He gets on the ball and he just drove through the heart of Van Dijk and Konate, and they didn't know whether to come close him down or sit back off him, and he ended up putting the ball in the back of the net.
Sar did it. Sar ran like 4 yards with the ball in the Crystal Palace game.
Yeah,
4 yards with the ball.
But that's my point, because
he didn't score, but he ran 4 yards with the ball without like anybody. Just like it's like a field day for the guy.
And that's my point. You haven't got, you know, Benjamin White equivalent at left back for Liverpool that just sits in and is like, I'm just going to stay here. You've got a Kirkes that is asked to invert, but he's also getting high. And then you've got, you know, the balance is completely wrong. For all Trent's, you know, the negativity surrounding Trent in his defensive ability, one thing that Trent gave you is that he was because he inverted, he was deep. He was never in behind where Salah was.
He had the ability to create from further back, didn't he? Because his pass.
He's not good defensively, as Jerry says, but he's a right back.
He's a body player. Liverpool, doesn't matter who Liverpool play. If we just set up and said, "All right, Frimpong, I know you're great going forward, but all you're going to do is just stay there," then he's obviously going to look better defensively, right? So when Trent's in that pocket, and that's where he is, when Liverpool lose the ball, he's already in position a lot of the time.
Because that's the other thing, Jerry, is that where there isn't that player there being Trent, right? Or there isn't a 6 sitting and willing to hold their run and they want to get forward like Gravenberch does. Konate looks to his right, sees the space there. He sort of moves out into that half space where he's like worried about what's behind him, who's he leaving Van Dijk with, but also he knows he's got to get out to the winger. And then that leaves that space in the middle where Van Dijk doesn't know whether he needs to get out to the guy coming on his flank because Kirkes has gone forward, right? So it's leaving like players in limbo between covering the wide areas, covering the central areas, and then they're both just like the teams are just driving through those gaps. And I think really that's something Slot needs to address. But I don't know if you sign, maybe Bradley can do it better, but I'm not sure you sign the right type of players to do that. I think he was almost set on his width coming from his fullbacks, and then the centre backs would be enough. But I personally think if the width's going to come from the fullbacks, or they're going to attack in the amount of times that they do during a game, you're going to need a 6 that drops into between the centre backs. That's what I think you're going to need to happen.
Like we did that in pre-season with Gravenberch. We actually did do that, so it did seem like it was going to be like that. We haven't done that, and the problem you've got on top of that is if you are going to play like that, right? You either need to decide, and this is kind of what my point is. You either become this counter-attacking team that you are going to go and be aggressive with your counter-attack and be like what Klopp's team was. Or you play a more measured approach, which means that you cannot give the ball away when these players are high. You have to be so cautious on the ball, hence why you'd keep recycling it, moving it left and right, because you're wary of if you give the ball away, it's a transition. If you go and look at Arsenal's, the goal that Arsenal conceded against City, great example, where they one little mishap, one counter-attack and it's a goal. Liverpool are going to concede goals at that, but we need to be better in possession. But when you've
do
got
you think
balance in the
Slot's
way,
approach then is that he believes with the firepower you've added to the team that you're just going to outscore your opponent and that'll be
that's
enough?
what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
It seems like we've just gone firepower, and it's because you keep hearing him talk about, you know, control. And someone, I don't know, in the press conference, someone asked him about possession, and he said, we're not a possession-based team. We're a team we're going to go and score goals, and we're going to take the games to teams. If that's the case, that's fine, but you're going to need the energy of what Slot needed in the midfield.
And also, you can do that with Konate giving you a game of 8 out of 10 and the next game 3 out of 10. You can do that because you need the player that is like If I'm going to do this, I would rather have the player that will give me a 6 out of 10 every game rather than a player that will give me a game of, because at least I know what I'm getting every game and how to set up with that player. There are a lot of people in the chat that are actually asking a question about Arne Slot. We need the Club World Cup final, Chelsea, on Saturday. Yes, TK.
Could have done with that all season, to be fair.
So there are people that are asking about Slot complaining about set pieces and why Arne Slot is complaining about the referees lately, and he's been a little bit grumpy lately. Is he like, he looked like the cool guy last season?
Yeah, because everything's going well. Right, it's easy to look cool when the sun's shining.
Like even Footy Corner is, and imagine if he's an Arsenal fan. Imagine if the manager is saying all the players are good. He actually complained even about the penalty for Galatasaray.
Yeah, but the pressure's on, isn't it? There's an expectation now of Slot, and I think you do see that with managers, whether or not they can deliver it again in their second season, or their attempt after winning a title. The expectations there from the club, the money's been spent on him. He'll feel the pressure as well. He's got to gel that whole squad together, so I think he'll look for excuses to take the sort of
pressure
focus.
of the players.
Yeah, take the focus of the players. Like, keep the chat away from Wirtz or Isak or all that's going to be there. Take it away and just allow those players to focus on what they've got to do. And that can be the sign of a good manager, but it can also be the sign that the manager is feeling a little bit of pressure, to be honest. I think the manager's got to find the right balance. But what he doesn't want to do, and this is where I think it's important.
But he's complaining about the referees.
Yeah, okay. And let him complain about the referees. If he wants to win the league, I think that's what he needs to do, because it creates that vulnerability, not that vulnerability, but that
pressure on referees. And PGMO,
where everyone's against us now. Yeah. No one likes us because we won the league last season. So we need to make sure that we're fighting even more, because people are going to be against us twice as much as they were last year. And that's the sort of atmosphere I think a manager has to create, not one that is sort of.
I'm going to ask the question again, guys.
In those situations.
Is Arne Slot as a coach has proven to us that he's better than Mikel Arteta? Yeah. And before anyone actually comes at me and say, why do you ask that question? I asked that question because last season, again, him winning the Premier League without a challenge from Arsenal or City, with Mohamed Salah having a historic season, and now people are questioning his tactics when he got his players, right? Is that a given, or there is a conversation? I'm not saying that Arteta is better. Is that a given? Because if you win the league, you're automatically better than the other manager, especially if you have better tools. For example, is Pep automatically a better coach than Jurgen Klopp because he won more? Is that automatically, or maybe Pep had more tools?
A discussion that can go on, because Pep's got like years and years and years of developing players and improving players, as does Klopp. So you go way deeper. But I think the Arteta Slot discussion, you don't need to go that deep. I think Slot obviously proved he can win the Premier League in his first season. I think the thing with Arteta as well is Arteta has had his players and then still not delivered. I think like Slot obviously has got that situation now, but I just don't see a comparison between the two. I think Slot is already ahead of Arteta in a short space of time.
Yeah,
I think we saw him have moments that Arteta failed to deliver and Slot didn't last season.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And also as well, I think people were saying, obviously, when Slot didn't have any kind of players and he didn't spend any money last year, people were using that as more of a positive thing. He didn't have his own players, stuff like that. Now he's got his own players and it's not quite working out so far. People are kind of using that as a negative. For me,
that is why we're asking it. If Liverpool improved over last season because okay, we have to admit that Liverpool have better players, right? Having Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, that's better than having Darwin Núñez, Diego Jota, Luis Diaz. Like, this is just on paper. It looks better.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
everyone. If the system is not working,
They look. Hang on one sec, because we do need to speak about that. They look
Okay.
better on paper, right?
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
know if they're a better fit for what Slot wants to do. And I think that's
he's the one who
that's
chose
why-
them.
Pardon?
Who's the one who chose them?
Well,
they said that him and Michael Edwards, these
yeah,
guys
they
wanted
probably
these
did.
players.
That's the point, isn't it? But that's the point. Is that on
And they-
paper? Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, that's your point.
Sorry, Joe. Yeah, the players that you would choose. If you'd have said to me last season, I need a creative player that's going to unlock a defense, who would I choose? Well, Wirtz is going to be top of the list, right? If you want a goal
100%.
scorer and a striker, Isak's going to be up the top of the list.
And
that
the
you
second will be Ikitike, probably.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. And I think they probably looked at the profile they wanted. The only thing is, I think they were almost trying to fix something that wasn't broken. I touched on this yesterday a little bit. They needed to probably look at players that already fit the system that they had, and then maybe find a player that can create off the left, or look at Eze, right? Eze can play on that left and come and create, or they go and look for a player that can, if they want to go
direct.
fine.
That is direct, but better.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I think Semenyo is direct like Gakpo, but I think he has better attributes. Like, that's what I think. For example, I get what you mean. Not change the characters.
Too much of a difference between Semenyo and Gakpo. Like, I think Gakpo
But what
is really good.
I get what you mean. I give an example of like thing that is working. Maybe you get a better player with the same characteristics.
Is if you sign Wirtz, you have to then find a new position in your team, because he's not an 8 that creates. He's not like a false. Well, he could be a false 9, but you're not really playing that. So where does he play? Because you've then got to find a new position, but that means you've got to move someone around that worked previously. You've got to remove them from the team, find a position to put Wirtz in the team, and change your system a little bit. They would have been better finding someone that can play as an 8 and create and that open doors, rather than Wirtz, who's a 10. But that's it. That isn't there in Liverpool's system last season. I just think they've overcomplicated it a little bit by signing a couple of players. I'm not saying they didn't need, but I don't know if they've got the profile bang on if they haven't got the system already decided, because that's what Jerry was saying. You can't look at that Liverpool side and go, this is exactly how they're going to play, or this is their system. And I don't know if you need that decided already to make those sort of signings that cost that much money.
But isn't the manager is the one who utilizes the tools that he has?
He is, and I think he proved you can utilize the tools that he had last season. I think the difference is he's trying to bed in all these players, deal with probably all the off the field stuff in terms of, oh, I want to play, and oh, where am I going to play in this? And I don't think he was expecting certain players to leave. I don't think he wanted Diaz to leave personally, from what I understand. I don't think he wanted, he speaks about, oh, we lost a lot of players as well as gained. I don't think he wanted Trent to go, even though it was evident Trent was going. I don't think he wanted him to leave. So now he's replaced him. He's having to almost figure out, how am I going to go and make this work by Liverpool just getting the alternatives? And look, they've purchased really well in terms of the names and the players, but it's about making it work now. And currently, he's struggling.
I think that's another thing as well, Jerry, right? Is that he obviously spoke early on in the season as well that, replacing Jota would be an incredibly tough thing to do, maybe impossible, because of the moments he stepped up in. You don't just find a player like that. I think Chiesa's doing an okay job replicating that at the moment. I think he's sort of come out of nowhere this season. But that's the other thing that I don't think people really have spoken about, but we don't know where Liverpool are at as a dressing room, as a group of people, because of what happened in the summer. Like, is it almost unfair from us to expect Liverpool to go and do the same when they were absolutely rocked in the summer and no one knew like what that would lead to? Basically, I think it's almost harsh from us as a group of football fans to expect Liverpool to go and challenge in the same way as they did with the mental state that they might have this season. I think it must be incredibly tough for them.
Yeah, it's something that you can't really even kind of go back to in terms of like an example as well. So it's definitely something you got to keep an eye on in terms of how the whole team as well as the manager is reacting to the whole situation, because there was a lot of change obviously as well, with obviously Trent leaving too, obviously Diaz, Nunes. There's a lot of kind of players that have been first teamers for a few seasons now that they've took out and brought in. And like you said, on paper, it looks great, looks like an upgrade, but in reality, it might take a bit longer to adapt to and to change. in the obviously the current season. Again, they're still top of the league. So again, if you want to have a period of kind of adaptation, you still want to be obviously at the top of the table when you do it. So in terms of a Liverpool's perspective, you're hoping now that they can kind of kick into gear a little bit. Maybe the international break might come at a good time for them to kind of regroup and assess a few more things and then go on and again after the international break, man. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And I think Slot will have to come up with new ideas to see how this kind of new evolution of this Liverpool team kind of go further on in this kind of moment in time, man. But we'll see how they go on. But I still think they've got too many quality players not to obviously do something really good this season, to be honest with you. So we'll see.
Ironically, Liverpool go and play Chelsea on the weekend tomorrow. If Liverpool win that game 4-0 and Vert scores a hat-trick and Isak scores a goal, all of a sudden the narrative is going to be Liverpool are back.
This is it. It's literally game by game. It's mad.
I'll do the video. The video is dropping.
What a signing!
What a signing! It works.
It's one game, isn't it? And that might be the best performance.
But I don't think so, because
the only thing is, I don't think so.
Can I say something, Dan? I just want to say one thing. I actually predicted Liverpool to win by 2+ goal margins. The reason why, I don't see the Chelsea defense being able to hold that much talent of Liverpool. If Chelsea had Colwell, for example, and Chalobah or Tosin and have the bench, I would say, yeah, Chelsea might have, and Cole Palmer, because I think Liverpool will be more offensive because Cole Palmer's not there. The Cole Palmer basically needs someone to have a plan to stop him, but he's not there. So Liverpool have one less player to worry about, and there's no defenders. I would think that Liverpool must win this game. It would be very embarrassing for Liverpool if they walk away from, with all due respect to Chelsea, if Liverpool walk away from Stamford Bridge without the win, especially with the absentees, that they don't even have Chalobah because the red card.
They've got 8. Chelsea got 8 players out, so they've got a pretty shredded squad when it comes to that.
If you don't walk away from without Cole Palmer, the catalyst, without center backs, with how shaky like the goalkeeper look now, Liverpool must win this game to prove themselves. Otherwise, Liverpool will have questions over them. If Liverpool win the game, as you say, Jerry, 4-0, Vert's hat-trick, and they're like off the park, maybe. But if Liverpool win the game normally, because they are on paper, is supposed to win the game. Without a shadow of a doubt, is supposed to win the game.
Yeah, but I think that's just the sort of world that we live in now, isn't it? That the reaction just sort of changes week in, week out. But I think for the sensible fans out there, they'll sort of look at how Liverpool have been. They'll probably be able to assess how Chelsea play in that game as well if Liverpool were to win. And they'll see whether or not it was Liverpool firing all cylinders or whether it was like Man United fans got a bit ahead of themselves when they beat Chelsea. But I think it was clear to see that Chelsea obviously got a red card very early on. They got players sent off. And then I heard Man United fans saying this is why Amorim deserves a chance. But then, a week later, it was back to normal, right? Yeah. Amorim needs to leave, go get Glasner. And I think that's where we need to be really careful, because the sample size only increases throughout the season and you can take evidence. But when you zoom in on only one game, you can get a little bit lost sometimes. And the game could be something that happens in isolation or an anomaly. And I feel that as Chelsea fans, I think our whole season's expectations were set up off of one game against PSG, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I think with the way the season's gone this season, I think it's been a bit of a reality check that actually that game was an anomaly for Chelsea players to play in that way.
100%. Diallo here is saying, tomorrow I'm a true blue for 98 minutes. You're an Arsenal fan, of course. But on the other hand, if Liverpool don't win, wallahi, I can't wait to react to Osama's meltdown if Liverpool don't win. That would be hilarious.
Jerry, do you think any players are dropped, or do you think Verts doesn't start or anything like that? Anything big in this game?
Wow.
It could happen. It could happen. I think there's a potential that Verts maybe doesn't start. There's a potential that, you know what, like anything's up for, like right now for Liverpool fans, it's like I didn't expect Salah not to play, or do you know what I mean, against Galatasaray. So the fact that, and he's been poor, and I mean, he deserves to be benched. So if looking at that, it could be anything. It could be McAllister dropped, and it could be Szoboszlai, Graven Jones. God, maybe even Konate being dropped considering his performance for Gomez. You just don't know at this moment in time because we haven't had a consistent 11. That's the one thing that was so we haven't every game there's been some sort of change.
Can I now move a little bit, just a little bit, to Manchester City and Erling Haaland? I kind of raised my hand and said I'm wrong. Erling Haaland is the best striker in the league. And there is not even a question about him being comparable to anyone in the league, to be honest. The numbers don't lie. But why are we discounting Man City? I've heard yesterday on The Guardian, I listen to that podcast a lot. It's one of the reasons I do actually talk about football.
What is it? The Football
YouTube.
Ramble?
No. The Guardian Weekly Football.
Okay.
Football Weekly.
Yeah.
With, what's his name? I forgot his name. Anyway, I know he's very famous. He's now in Australia. It's one of my favorite podcasts with Barry Glendinning, Max Rushton and Barry Glendinning.
Yeah.
They were saying that people are discounting City, but they know it's the same as the triple season. Well, everyone was just a cog in a machine to put the ball on Haaland's plate to score. He said he had 9 touches in the first half, had 2 goals. And Chelsea were walking through the game. Yes, they didn't win against Monaco, but in the league, if they do what they did in the triple season, which is just get Haaland the chances, he can really be challenging for the league. That's what they can do.
Did you that header against Monaco was a joke? I don't know.
It's a joke, yeah. I've seen it. It's fucking a joke.
Played in with so little power. Haaland generates all the power off that header.
So much muscle in his neck, and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? How do you do that?
Machine. I don't think we've seen a striker like him, to be honest, because I think we've seen big players that are technically good, like Zlatan, and that are like absolute powerhouses at the same time. But I just think when people joke about Haaland being a robot, it actually isn't that far off. I just think he looks so mechanical and clunky at the same time. But he's an absolutely unbelievable finisher and goal scorer.
Yeah, if here's the thing. You can never count a team out if you have someone that scores the goal with that rate. Like, it's impossible because you will win way more games than when you draw or lose. It doesn't matter how bad their defense. Once Haaland stops scoring, now we have to worry about, if you're a City fan, you have to worry about City. But if Haaland keeps scoring, there's no stopping. It's just, every game he's going to score.
You know what it is with City this season is, I feel like the obviously the talent and the ability is there, and that squad is incredibly good. But I feel like the belief has gone and the fear factor around City's gone. And I think that's the biggest reason as to why people don't think they're going to win the league, because I don't think people are as fearful of them. But in the games they've won this season, I mean, they've been unbelievable. They've won like 4-0, 3-0, 5-1, was it?
Yeah,
like they've been so good in the games.
It's all about Erling Haaland. It's the whole thing. It's about Doku to Haaland.
Doku
to Haaland. Yeah,
Foden's got to step up again. If Foden can get to the level that he was at 2 seasons ago, then I think the conversation might start changing. But the fact that they dropped those points, didn't they, early on in the season against Tottenham and was it Brighton?
Yeah, Brighton. Yeah,
that I just think it just restarted that conversation again. That they're not underfit. Like, this isn't what City did. All right, they used to start a little bit slow, didn't they? But they'd still get results. I just
Mo, you must say the Shahada for the Isak better than Haaland. I still think that Isak is a better player.
He's
in terms of
better, isn't he?
Technically better. But Haaland is a freak. And also, I'm gonna say something. I didn't expect Haaland to improve that much between 2 seasons. This season, everything about his game has improved, and has improved quite a bit. You're muted. I'm
saying it's about how City play. I don't think it's to do with Haaland himself. If you go and remember Haaland at Dortmund, the variety of goals he scored were ridiculous.
Yeah, counter-attacks, tap-ins, and everything.
Tapping it round players. It was the hold-up, the goal you scored against Arsenal. It was all of that. When City dominate the ball, and this is what Isak's going to face now as well, when there's no space in behind, you have to be clinical. You have to play a certain way to be effective. And that's what the best strikers can do.
Jerry, he scored a goal against Monaco. I've not seen a striker make runs in behind inside the 18. Like, I've never seen it in my life. How do you create the space in 18? It's only 18 yards. This is it. It's a goal. It's actually it's less. It's actually 12 yards between the penalty area and the 6 yard because the goal. It's only. And we always say this. Like I was playing football yesterday, and I was telling my guys we were playing against a top team, the national champions, and I was telling them as long as we're compact and my back line is around the 18, there's no space for the opposition to run. There's no space behind. Erling Haaland creates that space, which is astonishing. How do you create space in 12 yards?
Yeah,
he'll
sprint
that
like,
first.
I was going to say 5 to 10 yards and create havoc in that moment, won't he? And the player will have the ability to find that pass. It's crazy. His movement is on another level.
People that say that in Zaga, I think people that don't understand what I mean by space is like normally you would tell the defenders if the opposition is playing a high line, make the striker make the run behind if you're quick and I'll play behind. And they're gonna create that separation between him and defense.
Yeah, but Mo, the difference with like you're the typical sort of poacher that you're talking about there with like an Inzaghi or those sort of players that I don't think you see too much anymore. They almost had this ability to know where the ball would fall. Like they'll get on the end of like a rebound, or the ball would drop and they'd be there, or they'd be last man on the back of the defensive line and they'd have a very straight run. I think Haaland's movement is so unique. I don't think we saw players in that sort of generation moving in the same way that Haaland does. I think Haaland has brought a whole nother level to it.
Yeah, I've never seen someone to create separation between them and the defenders within 5 yards.
Yeah,
like I've never seen it in my life.
Like Haaland will turn his back from the ball, sprint that 5 to 10 yards, turn around, and the ball will be on his head. And it's like I don't think you used to see players move in that manner. They'd move over probably a slightly bigger distance, over 20, 30 yards. They'd make their sprint in behind the attacking line, or they'd curve that run to beat the offside trap. Haaland's doing it in such a small area, but he's such a big player as well. Like the movement is so obvious to see, but it's almost unstoppable. He is
correct? Haaland has 17 goals.
Yeah, for club and country, he has. Yeah.
Kane, by the way, is on like 20 or 19 or something.
Yeah,
no, but Kane is scoring like when he blinks. Kane scores like
like
he freaking.
And
blinks
how many games have they played? I think Kane's played 9 games.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Haaland's played, but yeah.
Yeah, Kane is the fastest to get to 100 goals for any club in that history. Like he got to 100 goals within like less than 100 games. It's fucking.
Do you remember like what the level we used to put Lewandowski on when he was at Bayern, and we'd say like this guy should be winning the Ballon d'Or and he got robbed? Harry Kane is arguably at a higher level than that right now. And
he is. The Bayern Munich fans, they say he is. It's ridiculous. He says like, how is this guy getting so many goals like this? Okay, I would say that the Bundesliga level is lower than when it was, probably. Because Dortmund has so many better players, but also at the same time, like Harry Kane, oh my God. And then people tell me that he shouldn't start for England in the World Cup. I'm like, fucking dickhead. What do you think? What are you talking about? There's no one else.
By the way, we haven't spoken at all about a team that I think are currently more likely to challenge, and that's Crystal Palace. Like they've not even lost.
They're not going to challenge. They're not going to challenge. They're not going to challenge them.
You don't know what could happen, but they haven't lost the game yet.
You never know, man.
And you can't deny it. If your team was playing Palace, you would not feel confident, would you?
No.
Not with the run they're on. 19 games unbeaten now, is it, in all competitions?
That is crazy, by the way.
Man.
That is crazy.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And considering that for like the last couple of seasons now, their best talent has left. I know Mateta obviously is key to them winning games, but they've lost their best talent. And they've obviously been able to maintain the form. And this season is arguably the best form they've started in. It's like it makes you wonder what they could achieve, because Leicester that season obviously started well, but they didn't start this well. And they obviously went on to do what they did. And when we're talking about whether or not teams are at the level they've been at or haven't been at, I think back to that Leicester season, every team around Leicester was not at the level they were before. Like Chelsea were nowhere to be seen. They were the champions. The Spurs weren't unbelievable. Arsenal weren't great that season. And Leicester just kept building momentum and went on to win it.
Leicester won it with 70-something points, if I'm not mistaken. That is not happening this season.
Okay, but
I'd love to happen. To be honest with you, I would love to happen. I would love for this to happen. If Crystal Palace win the Premier League, it would be amazing. Actually, it would be absolutely amazing.
Like Forest made a good dent for a while last season, didn't they? and then they obviously fell off.
And Wolfie believed they will finish above Arsenal, finish second, and then
Now
he fell in his
that
head.
looks like an anomaly because they were like they finished. Where did they finish? 17th. Then they obviously pushed for Europe, and now under Ange, like they apparently he's got till November to turn it around. So they're in relegation form again, aren't they?
Watch this, Zach. I'm a Chicago City fan. I have no problem people downplaying City. It's Pep's job to prove everyone wrong. We are not in a title race. We are going with that narrative. It's actually like, it's alien to me that City fans are saying that they're underdog. It's so alien to me after they spend that much money and after they have Pep Guardiola, and it's so alien to say that they're not in a title race. But again, can I ask you guys for real? Does anybody see City winning against Brentford away from home?
Yeah.
Is that more likely or a draw is more likely?
No, they'll win. I think.
What is more likely to happen in that game? Yes, City, of course, can win.
City win.
Win is the more likely outcome of that game.
Yeah. Brentford haven't been great. This is their worst start to a Premier League season that they've had.
Yeah, for sure.
It's probably the game against Chelsea and against Man United is the ones that are, for some whatever reason, some pundits say that they think City will not win against Brentford away from home in Sunday, which is, if I think they will win, but if they don't win, it will just put a bigger dent in their title credentials, to be honest. But listen, thank you so much for everyone that is here. I want to thank everyone that joined us. Thank you, Jerry, for joining us. Jerry for the save at the end. Kind of struggled to get a Liverpool fan earlier. So thank you everyone that watched us. Tope's channel in the description as well. He's trying to build his own channel. Arsenal fan, of course. Very rational, reasonable, of course. Dan as well, BDB Dan, you'll see him here on Charlie's shows, on Football Terrace, everywhere. Jerry, you'll see you on Husam's channel tonight for the Liverpool show. No. All right. But you'll see him here. You'll see him on Husam's channel. You'll see him everywhere on YouTube, of course. Thank you, guys. Hit that like button, guys, if you are here before you go. We're only on 200 likes. Appreciate everyone that joined us. I will see you guys on MHF in about an hour and a half, and I'm out of here.